What do you need? I don't know how we're ever gonna see eye to eye, long as you're working for the board. Why? You got a ship. You got the run of the colony. So tell me why you're bending a knee in front of the adjutant. I ain't asking you to do anything for me. I'm asking you to do the right thing. And if you can't, then we're not gonna be on good terms. Never mind. Let's just move on.
Sam, I must confess, I have not been cleaned for far too long. You're sure this will... Oh, yes. That's the spot exactly. Why, I didn't expect you to be so thorough. I am ashamed to admit. Oh, Captain, there you are. Pardon, but perhaps you could afford us some privacy, please? Dr. Wells has failed to discover the tracking signal broadcasting the location of his lab. I have revised my estimations of his competence accordingly.
Sanitizing within established radius.
love Byzantium. Where else are you going to find art, culture, working toilets?
I'm sure other colonies have cities like this.
But those are so far away. I'm talking about Halcyon.
In that case, thank the law we've got the chairman and the minister to keep the rabble at bay.
You, with the hips. Over here. Let me take a closer look at you. Don't speak. Hold that posture for a moment while I admire you. You have a natural contrapposto, my dear. The way you rest your weight against your hip suggests a certain rugged charisma possessed only by the mighty primal and the well-traveled spacer. Splendid. I love it. Oh, you slay me. Not pasta, my dear. Contrapposto. To slouch fashionably. One's posture reveals the quality of one's character. I'm Celeste Jolicoeur, and you, my dear, are exactly what Byzantium needs. I'm an artist, darling, not a tweed merchant. I don't sell things. I pollinate the world with art. I'm working on a new line of clothing that will shock this city to its core, and I'd like your help. What do you say, my dear? Care to make history with me? When I look at you, I see the very embodiment of everything the walls of Byzantium were built to keep out. Making an outfit worthy of you won't be easy. I'll need your help gathering the right materials. Marvelous! You and I are gonna wake this city up like a cold splash of wine to the face. What I need is a survey of the outside world. What does the common laborer wear? How do the wild-eyed madmen of Monarch dress themselves? I've heard rumors, but I require samples. Also, I expect you to model for me. Oh, you cad! You'll be the talk of Byzantium once I'm done with you. I'll need you to model for me the following: the apparel of an iconoclast, the armor of a marauder, and a full ensemble of spacer gear, helmet included. And when I say spacer gear, I mean an outfit worn by real spacers. None of that garbage spacer's choice pedals. You have the bearing and demeanor of a born model. You're going to absolutely murder this job. Goodness, look at those atrocious contours. The sheer brutality of its design offends the senses and shocks the mind into a state of palpable excitement. I adore it! 2 outfits remain. I can't wait to see what you'll bring me. Something shocking, I hope.
You don't gotta be so forward about my reasons, Captain.
Let me get a good look at you. Turn around, please, darling. My word. Such muscular shoulders. You're a vision, dear.
I am no such thing, ma'am.
Nonsense, you're absolutely lovely. Chin up now. I have just the thing for you. Let me do a back-of-the-envelope calculation. Materials, labor, licensing and copyright. There.
Captain, please don't do this again.
Boss is just trying to get you a fair price from this fancy pants for your fancy pants.
Aren't you a brute? But you're in luck, darling. I enjoy a brute now and again. They shake things up, create the unexpected. All right, Captain. Here is the absolute best I can do for you. Darling, do I look like an amateur? I read her measurements by eye. And don't you ask, because they're no one's business but her own. There are some things I simply cannot skimp on, darling. Such a lovely young lady deserves the best. Now stand back. Back! I'll enter the settings and get these machines spinning. You'll be broke to bespoke in merely an hour. And there we are, my darling girl. I wish you a splendiferous evening. And if you don't mind my asking, have you any interest in modeling?
What? Oh, no, ma'am. All them eyes staring at me? I couldn't. No way, no how. I get scared just thinking on it.
I wish you weren't so shy, my Violet. You truly are beautiful. I hope your date sees that as clearly as I. If I were an enterprising spacer in need of a wardrobe, I'd probably head to the Groundbreaker. I can't wait to see those outfits. What can I do for you, darling?
Oh, can you believe this outfit? It's so handsome, I'm almost afraid to touch it. Well, I guess that's everything then. After all this time, I just have to actually do it now. You know, there's a part Junlei's been looking for to fix up the air cyclers. They only carried them on big colony ships, like the Hope. I know. For a while, it felt like everything I did was a little bit of help. And it meant I didn't have to ask her to be mine. Not yet. Not for real. Next time we dock with Groundbreaker, I'm doing it. I'll send June a message and ask her over. Oh, this is real scary, Captain. I'm grateful for all you done.
Remember that stranger I saw in the square? The one with the low-rent personal security detail. Honestly, I think he assembled his armor from old Automech parts.
Enough! You're standing right here.
Move along.
CNP Borscht Pocket. Can be microwaved in 2.5 seconds. Borscht Pocket.
Welcome, intrepid adventurer, to Prosperity Plaza, where the shops never close. Now, make your way to the bustling region of Emerald Vale. Prepare to be dazzled by the Vale's breathtaking lava flows, rated the third most impressive in Halcyon.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
I swear, next time we put into Groundbreaker, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna ask her over. Oh, I'm so nervous. Having trouble focusing on my work.
The Groundbreaker has approved our request for docking, Captain. You're free to disembark.
All right. She's on her way. How do I look? You bet I am. You don't want to know how much engine gunk came off me in the shower. Oh, my hands have finally stopped shaking. All right. Deep breath. Here I go.
What a mess! What a mess!
Anyhow, so I told him, Dad, I'm a big girl now. I ain't need your help. I can do it on my lonesome.
What did he say to that?
Have at it then. And he handed me his favorite wrench, the one he used for the canner. He was probably half as tall as I was.
He didn't scold you for talking back to him?
Nah, he was never like that. I always thought it was funny when I get indignant about something. Then he'd watch me do whatever it was, make sure I didn't get hurt, but He'd never interfere. I learned a lot that way.
I wish I could have met him. Anyone who helped shape you must have been a special person. My father and I were often at loggerheads. He had notions of how the station should be run, and I had others. He was fond of saying, "You think Groundbreaker pays for itself? Someone's gotta cover the bills," when I chafed against his deference to the board.
Sounds like he was afraid of him.
He was, and he was right to be. Didn't mean I had to like it.
What about your mama? I don't mean to pry, you just hardly mention her, and I've been wondering.
She passed when I was small. Taught me how to change a fuse on her deathbed. Even sick, she was patient with me. She kept exhaustive journals of my childhood, my father said. Like she was A/B testing child-rearing.
Must be you got that exacting nature from her.
Exacting is a kind way to put it. Inflexible, my father would have said. Bull-headed. Cold.
If you're cold, then I'm the void of space. Cold. Pfft. That's the silliest thing I ever heard.
Thank you.
Look at me. All dressed up for once.
I'm trusting you to keep Parvati safe. She means the stars to me.
Is it just me, or is Groundbreaker feeling extra chilly? Maybe you ought to help yourself to a piping hot frozen dinner.
Oh, it's Martin. Hey, Martin. Still wearing the hat?
How observant. I'm authorized to state that this uniform is more than headgear. It's a state of mind, and our customers know the difference. Have a look.
That job is still up for grabs, Captain. If you're keen on flying to Stellar Bay, it's yours. One of my guys in Stellar Bay has a lead on some high-grade salvage, but he went dark before he could spill the goods. We arranged a drop at the Saltuna warehouse's loading dock. Find whatever he left there and take it to Fallbrook. My gal Catherine will be expecting you. Now, get going. Catherine will brief you on the details when you check in with her at Fallbrook. One last thing. When you're on the job, keep a pair of eyes in the back of your head. Understood? You'll do fine. Probably nothing to worry about. Probably.
Think I'll watch our backs all the same.
If you're here for this week's magazine club meeting, you're a touch late. I've got a lovely little throw pillow. Just something I toss together. Like to keep my hands busy. It's all...
You know, Nyoka, between you and me, we know all there is to know about Monarch.
What makes you say that?
Well, you got your life experience as a hunter, and I've memorized every episode of Terror on Monarch.
Oh, Terror on Monarch's a riot. It's all made up, though. You know that, right?
Yeah, right. Next, you're gonna tell me Halcyon and Helen weren't based on a real person.
I won't tell you that, no. You seem happier in your ignorance.
This is Halcyon News. We interrupt your regularly scheduled
What was that? What was that?
Oh, I guess, never mind then.
Huh?
Returning fire!
Wrong move!
Please, I don't want to die!
This is Halcyon News. We interrupt your regular system with advertisement for the following story. Do you have what it takes to defend your corporate township from the dangers of alien wildlife and the unemployed?
Echo! No? Nothing? Oh well. Looks like we're doing this!
That's the last of them. One could make a real fine mess with that.
This is Halcyon News. We interrupt your regularly scheduled advertisement for the following story.
Some crew members are causing a disturbance on the ship.
Dead center. Next round's on you.
Shh, the captain's coming. Put your gun away. Act casual.
Oh, yes. This'll about do. That's a mighty clean weapon. Yep. Ain't no call for a closer inspection by anybody.
Something on your mind? I'm a surgeon. Something.
Hey, Cap. Parvati showed me how to properly grease the magazine release on one of my firearms. She's a smart one, you know. Opal was quiet in the same way. She'd hang back, out of sight, then all of a sudden pop in with a bit of wisdom out of nowhere. Shit. Look at me dredging up bygone days. Forget I said anything. Thanks, Cap.
I like what you've done with the place. Kitschy collectibles are such a human inclination. Make yourself at home, Captain.
Okay, Captain, she's gone. I feel like running laps around the cargo bay. So she got here, and after a few minutes she said, "Hey, do you have some new parts?" And I was like, "Nah, I used a new soap." And then she just sort of touched my arm real gentle-like and called the cut of my outfit elegant. I couldn't hear the rest on account of my heart was beating so hard. Then I led her into the kitchen. I think she about cried when she saw the spread. We both see enough engines in our day-to-day. There's nothing special about sitting next to another one, even if ours is real sweet. June hardly ever makes it down to Groundbreaker's mess during regular meal times, so sharing the kitchen was special. Like being part of a real family. She stood stock still and just said, "Oh, real soft." Oh, and let me tell you, I was sweating. And then she blinked and said, "Is that dustback casserole?" I told her how we got Mr. Raymond to bake it for us, so it was double authentic. Made by a real live monarch person. Sure was. Near best thing to homemade, Junlei said. When I brung out the sweetheart cakes, June, she got a little teary, said she had a thing she needed to say. But I stopped her because I wanted to say it first. I never felt so bold, Captain. One of us has got to be. We're both... June's so reserved and I'm so shy. I worried if I never said anything, nothing would ever get said, you know? I told her about how she made me feel. Bold like I acted. Strong. Smarter and kinder than I am on my lonesome. I listed all the things I liked about her. And then she pulled out a paper and read a speech. She talked about the things she admired about me, like my cleverness and my humor, and how it made her want to be more open. She was worried she wouldn't get the words out right, especially after that message about Isabel. It's sweet. Anyhow, when she wrapped up, I asked her to be my girlfriend. And Captain, she said yes! We talked about it some. I told her I wasn't sure how it would work, how I've had a bad time of it in the past. She said we'll take it as it comes. Fix things together. Share meals, talk. Maybe she could rub my shoulders when they're sore. I said I might like that. You got an eye for people, Captain. It's all on your account, you know. Imagine if you'd never taken me out of Edgewater. I'd have never met Junlei at all. I don't know nothing about the law or the capital P plan, but you've sure changed my life. So, if you don't mind, I'm just gonna head to my cabin and happy scream into my pillow for like an hour.
I love the ship, but we have become so intertwined that sometimes I fancy the throb of her engines as my heartbeat, her whole, my body.
On standby for command.
We are now in orbit above Edgewater, Captain.
Ready when you are.
Good to see our old workers came back.
I've always felt weird in here. It's too clean.
Hey there, Mary. Don't see you round here too often.
Oh, I just came to talk to the vicar is all. None of us are above confessionals.
What have you got to confess? You ain't thinking of deserting, are you?
What? No. And I resent the accusation.
Wasn't nothing but a question. Do excuse me.
I must be on my way. Very good to you.
If you've come to ask forgiveness for Reed Thompson's murder, I'm afraid OSI Theology has little to say on the matter. Any conflict between the two of you is none of my concern. I have no inclination to interfere. I have greater goals to achieve in my lifetime than meeting a quota of canned fish. And Ms. Holcomb is with you. Surprising, given what you're accused of. I hope you didn't threaten her. She's a gentle soul.
I'm still a bit shaken, Vicar. I appreciate you asking after me, though. You've always offered a helping hand to those that need counseling.
Thank you for the kind assessment, Ms. Holcomb. I admit, I've been quite interested to make our outsider's acquaintance. Just a moment. If you're going to be walking around outside, make sure you're well prepared. Unless you don't care for your life. The marauders I met when I ventured outside the walls might agree with you. Bastards snuck up on me while I was dutifully hunting for a banned book in a collector's library. Barely escaped with my life. But you see, one of the reasons I transferred here was to get my hands on that heretical text. If you managed to acquire it for me, I'd pay quite a handsome sum for the book. What? You seem the perfect type to go blindly into the wild on a suicidal quest. I'm looking for a journal, a handwritten book, with the name M. Bokonu on the cover. I'll pay you to find it. I just want to keep the writing out of layman's hands. It wouldn't do for such information to fall into public consumption. On the contrary, my position means that I am one of the few legally allowed to possess such items. But do not worry. You'll be safe since you are acting on my behalf. I can assure you, you won't find another willing to risk imprisonment to possess this book, nor anyone willing to pay the price I can offer. Glad we see eye to eye. Thank you. If you retrieve it, you can always find me here.
Time changes all things. Even Reed's stranglehold over Edgewater must inevitably yield to the attrition of time. Start anew. Edgewater will become the town it was meant to be, a place where we live in harmony with the world, where none of us writhe under the whips of corporate masters. A place where all are welcome, except for Reed supporters, of course. The garden will bloom anew. I have plans to transform the old cannery into a nursery, with crops enough to feed a town. Saltuna was making the town sick. From now on, if anybody's hungry, they may feast from the bounty of the soil.
Returning fire!
Nice work!
You hiding? Everyone all right? Gonna find you!
big mistake. We got this! That's the last of them!
Easy.
That's the last of them.
Let's end the fun.
Nice one.
Hey, take a gander. The door's busted. Huh. Rebecca taught me this once. You can jerry-rig these old locks so as they don't open anymore. But we've only ever done that if we're in a real bind. Here, I'll fix it. Oh no. Oh no. What did you do?
Oh, Nyoka. I'm so sorry.
They were... That bitch! They were all set to abandon us! What would Clara say, huh? Every day she'd ask if we heard from you. And she'd have forgiven you! The kid had a soul that made the sulfur smell like roses! Ugh. I'd leave your medallions to rot with you, but Clara would want to be buried with her sister. At least I know. Ought to have learned by now that getting one's hopes up tends to open them to being dashed across the stars. I hate to say this, but Clara died thinking her sister was still fighting to get back home. I'm glad. If she were still alive now, it'd break her to know the truth. Yeah, maybe. I'm used to disappointment. She was still so naive as to let it hurt her every time it happened. Only thing left is to take these medallions home, which means figuring out how to bait the Mana Queen out of our old base. The most pissed off I've ever seen a queen was when a foreign species was on her soil. I'd wager the stench of a primal might do the trick. No, we need a plan. You may be a capable sort, but so are my friends. I ain't making that mistake twice. I've never had the pleasure of hunting primals, but I hear they're all over Scylla. Let's tear a few apart, shall we? I'm sure they've got pheromones. Everything does.
Cannery's been running at full capacity.
It's a fine new day in Edgewater. The cannery hums, streetlights and faces glow. I presume we have you to thank for that. I am somewhat taken aback by that, given the heat between her and Mr. Thompson. What deal did you strike with her, I wonder? Wonderful. This is fantastic. Well worth all the sacrifices I... Wait. What the fuck is this? Is this French? I can't fucking read French. It's a law-forsaken joke is what it is. French. Ha! I was so high and mighty, preaching to the yokels about following the plan, while fighting it at every turn. Well, yes. But I assure you, it was not for personal gain, only for the greater good. I've spent my life searching for the keys to unlocking the secrets of the universal equation that underlies the plan. I had hoped this book held some of those answers. I became so desperate, I even got myself assigned to this plague-ridden backwater to find the damn thing. All the time and suffering I've spent. Wasted. Bokonu, the author, had some interesting theories about man's perception of reality that I thought could be applied to our attempts to decipher the plan. Unfortunately, he was also one of the founders of the Philosophist school of thought, so the book is banned in this colony. The story of my life. Most lay people are not aware of this, but we've not discovered any new insights into the plan for a long, long time. I had an idea that we should welcome the truth, no matter where we found it. I had the worse idea to share my thoughts with a superior. And that's how I ended up assigned prison duty, where I was fool enough to let an inmate bend my ear with stories of an original Bokonu journal. Yes, you're right. Such are the workings of the equation. And I've only my own hubris to blame. I certainly never planned for this contingency. But that's neither here nor there. What I need to do now is to find a translator, obviously. But to do that, I'll first need to secure transport. You have a ship. Perhaps I could make myself of use to your crew. Free spiritual counseling, someone to watch your back, not to mention a grown-up in the party.
I'm 28.
Exactly. I'm pretty handy with a toss-ball stick, or any blunt instrument, really. I'm also a passable gun hand, if it comes to that. I can usually talk my way out of conflict, though. Oh, I'm fairly competent at hacking computers as well. Of course. I'm a vicar who is dedicated to his calling. More dedicated than any other you'll find in this colony. I joined the OSI to help decipher the grand plan. But instead, I ended up the vicar in a prison due to ignorance and politics. Then I came here. Satisfied? Fantastic. I promise you won't regret this.
Edgewater's gonna miss you. Folk here always had good things to say about their vicar.
Thank you, Ms. Holcomb. I'll be glad for the change of scenery, and to leave this place behind. I shall see you on the ship, Captain, whenever you're ready to leave Emerald Vale.
I like a good tussle.
We hope you've enjoyed your trek across the breathtaking landscape of Emerald Vale, Terra 2's most fertile settlement and future breadbasket of Halcyon. Take a moment to enjoy this vista with a can of Spacer's Choice Saltuna before you make your way to Mighty Scylla, Halcyon's biggest asteroid.
Sometimes I can hear Vickers saying prayers to himself. Sometimes I hear him cussing about tossball scores.
Catching that is a good way to lose a hand. Moving machinery versus human flesh. Metal wins every time. Sam, my vacuum tubes require evacuating. No, not those. The ones in port. Yes, there. Thank you. And while you're at it, could you switch my binaries to that? Exactly. I haven't felt this clean and efficient since Captain Hawthorne installed my memory backup processor.
Captain. As always, I am at your disposal. Anything you'd like to discuss? Nothing too out of the ordinary. Just your run-of-the-mill vicar with a violently enthusiastic disposition. That's what my parents called it. I grew up in a pit of a town much like Edgewater. I was destined to be a laborer like my parents, but I was infected early with a need to solve the equation. My passion didn't sit well with them. My parents, ironically. They internalized the precepts of scientism like no one I've ever known. They had a pure faith, a faith that brought joy to them regardless of the situation. I envied that. I wanted that peace. I thought if I became a vicar, I could find it. Or at the very least, find out why I lacked it. The simple version is this. The force which we call the Grand Architect created the universal equation that underlies and defines everything in the universe. Everything flows from the equation, or in layman's terms, the Grand Plan. Is the Grand Architect a consciousness? A natural force? Did it create the equation on purpose? The answers to these questions don't really matter. The equation, the plan, is all that matters. Contentment is found by accepting one's role in the plan. The plan is not one rigid path. There are a variety of multitudes contained within it. Our paths have variance, but we'll end up adhering to it whether we like it or not. Some choices make the path smoother, some rougher. You can even go outside the lines, but the further outside you go, it's like an unbreakable elastic band. It will only stretch so far before it snaps back. The further it is stretched, the more violent the eventual correction. I have run headlong into too many walls in my pursuit of the truth. This book is my last hope, and you were my only hope of getting it translated. I honestly don't know what I'd do. This quest has consumed me for the better part of my life. I fear there's nothing else left to me. What about you? What's your story? And how did he do that? Well, you do seem different than every other colonist. Let's pretend for the moment I believe you. What are you going to do now? Why would you turn on someone who saved you? Ah, a cold realist. Bakounu, the author, had some interesting theories about man's perception of reality that I thought could be applied to our attempts to decipher the plan. Unfortunately, he was also one of the founders of the Philosophist school of thought, so the book is banned in this colony. I've been thinking on that. There's a former infamous Philosophist scholar who fled Terra 2 some years ago. He's an expert on Bakounu. He's also who told me of the journal's presence in Emerald Vale. If anyone in this colony could translate that book, it would be him. The only one I'm aware of. I suppose we could always just ask random passers-by if they are fluent in it. A thousand pardons, my good captain. I thought we were engaging in witty repartee. Now, as far as tracking down this scholar, we should start on the Groundbreaker. It's where I'd go if I wanted to get off Terra 2. Great place to pick up a ride to Hephaestus, Scylla, even Monarch. All I need is access to a data cartridge from the security terminal. Their easily hackable system keeps a registry of all crew manifests for both arrivals and departures. Before I transferred to Edgewater, I had a wealth of time to develop certain, secular skills during my years serving a particular penitentiary flock. I meditated, led sermons, provided guidance to the inmates as needed, of course. I also played prison yard tossball and taught myself a bit about computronic security systems. I'll comb the last 6 months of departure manifest to track the Philosophist's off-world destination. Thank you, Captain.
We got another job?
On standby for command.
We've arrived at the Groundbreaker.
This is it. Security. I can check the departures registry to find out which crew the Scholar shipped in and out with. By verity, by strength. What are we contemplating today? Yes, well, now that we're here, can we check in with security? I'd like to track down that Scholar.
Hey, bounty hunter. You're welcome here anytime, so long as you ain't loitering.
Looking sharp. What?
Got it. Inside voices.
Thought I saw something. What do you think you're doing? Just don't make more paperwork.
Nicely done. There it is. Just yank the drive, and I'll do the rest. Now that we have the data cartridge, I can finally find out where that scholar I'm looking for ended up. Got it. His name is Reginald Cheney, and he joined a sublight salvage crew. Only he's not listed on the return manifest. Must have made landfall somewhere he wasn't supposed to. Ah, yes. Here. There's a domicile on Monarch in Fallbrook, rented to the same bit card he used to buy his seat on the salvage ship. I should have guessed. What better place to lay low if you wish to avoid the authorities? Oh, it's nothing. I suppose I really didn't have much faith in actually finding him. Was a bit of a long shot, wasn't it? I admit it was a bit of a long shot, but when you've spent as many hours as I have in contemplation of the universe's secrets, you sometimes get a sense for these things.
Captain, if you're looking for crew members Ellie or Felix, they're sharing a drink upstairs.
You ever notice how our crew's a lot like that crime family from The Masked Marketeer?
Then Nyoka is...
You remember Kneecaps? Big square-looking bruiser, prize fighter, drinks like a fish. That's Nyoka.
You know, I think she'd like that. And what about me?
A scion of Byzantium turned to banditry? You've got to be the Masked Marketeer.
Something on your mind?
Destination reached. Scylla.
Halt. Sweeping.
Back the last of them.
inside Stellar Bay, located on Terra 1.
Everyone all right? Here they come!
Hey, outlaw. You know? Well done. We're still alive. Tremendous work, friend. Here I was, readying a daring maneuver, and you've come and saved me the trouble.
Symptoms detected. Elevated heart rate, dilated pupils, increased sweat production. Subject appears to be terrified.
I'm not terrified, you bucket of bolts. That's victory sweat. The one and only. Wait, who's asking? Wanda didn't send you, did she? I wager she told you to say that, the sly old bird. I swear, land on Groundbreaker even a moment tardy, and that busybody's already been up your ass an hour. You tell her these automechs are coming, and sending a hired stooge to rescue me from certain peril only furthers my delay. No offense. Meds, I'm guessing. Pirates love bits, and unlabeled meds are worth a bundle. Well, I've got some repairs to do. Thankfully, I'm as skilled a mechanic as I am a violence resolution expert. Then, to the Groundbreaker. Better late than never, I say. Unless you're very late. Then you might consider defaulting and skipping station. Those fees will bankrupt you.